Hi you guys, welcome, välkomna, добро пожаловать to Stories with Sal. I'm here for you every Friday with a new true crime story. I hope you guys liked my first episode that I posted last Friday, and if you haven't seen that video yet, the link will be listed below for you to click and watch it. Just a quick content warning and a disclaimer. Today's topics will be sexual assault, abuse, torture, and of course murder. This story is 100% real. The people in it are real life people. The names in the story I have changed due to respect and privacy to the victims and their loved ones. Okay, you guys, get ready. Today's story is very, very gruesome and very tragic, like all of my stories. And these young people didn't deserve at all. No one deserved what happened to these people. And the perpetrators are just pure evil monsters. I have no words. Like, it's literally no words describing these people, these perpetrators. This story actually reminds me of a horrible movie that I watched once and I will never see it again, called I Spit on Your Grave. It's a very tragic and sad movie. Good ending, but still, it's very violent. I would not recommend it, but if you've seen it, you know what I'm talking about. It kind of scarred me a little bit, but yeah, this story, when I first read it, I was in tears because it's horrible. I will not go into full graphic details because I don't know how much YouTube allows, but I will be as detailed as possible telling the story. So without further ado, let's get into today's episode. This story takes place in Knoxville, Tennessee, here in the United States, and the year is 2007. It's a Saturday, January the 6th. A young couple by the name, who I will call Liz and Jack, have some dinner plans and a birthday party to attend. Liz and Jack are very much in love. They just recently started dating each other, so everything is new, exciting, everything is just butterflies and love in the air. And you know how that is, the lovey-dovey stage when you get to know each other and you're just giggly and all over each other. Liz decided to go over to her best friend's house that evening to get ready, to get dolled up and get prepared for the night out that she had planned with her and Jack and her other friends. After a few hours, Liz receives a text message from Jack, tells her that he's running a little bit late, but he's on his way. And you know how that goes, of course. Liz is a little bit, irritated, but, she loves Jack. She doesn't care. So she just waits, and then he arrives, texts her that he's downstairs, and they both meet at the parking lot. So they meet up downstairs right next to Liz's car, and Liz gives him a little hard time for being late, just a little playful. And they're standing there kissing each other and talking. Little did they know, in the midst of their meeting up downstairs, they'd been spotted by 3 men. These men were up to no good that night. They already planned to rob someone. And Liz and Jack was the people that they laid their eyes on. These 3 men sees that this loving couple is all over each other and don't mind their surroundings, so they grab this perfect opportunity. They hop out of their car, guns in their hands, and run upon Liz and Jack. This all happens super fast, and within seconds, Liz and Jack is thrown into the back seat. The perpetrator then tied their hands behind their back, and still at gunpoint, they all drive off with Liz's car, together with Liz and Jack inside of that car. I can only imagine the horror that these 2 people feeling right now. They don't know what's going to happen to them. They probably still have hope that this might just be a robbery, that, they're just going to take their car, maybe take their jewelry, money, whatever they have on them, cell phone, and then just leave them alone. But in the reality, the Liz and Jack's nightmare just started. After a few minutes of driving, they all arrived at this house, and upon entering the house, two other people was inside waiting for the three perpetrator and the two victims, Liz and Jack. So soon it was 5 people against 2. The perpetrator pushed Jack and Liz into the living room, and they stripped them down of all of their valuable belongings such as shoes, jewelry, watch, cell phone, credit card, everything they could get that has a value. Shortly after that, Jack and Liz's worst nightmare started to unfold. They started with Jack. They beat him profusely till they felt satisfied. After that, one of the perpetrators went and got a broken chair leg while the other were holding down Jack, and he started viciously and repeatedly sodomize him with that. After that, Jack was also raped. And all of this was done in front of Liz. They made her watch in horror of all the despicable, unthinkable, gruesome acts that they were performing on Jack right in front of her eyes. 2 of the 5 perpetrators then took Jack back to the car, barefoot, with only underwear, sweater. He was gagged, he was bound, blindfolded, and then they drove off. Little did Liz know that this will be the last time she would ever see Jack alive. They arrived at this railroad station where they forced Jack to walk barefoot to the railroad. They beat him up again, raped him again, and shot him 2 times in his neck. I don't know how, I don't know the strength that Jack had, but he survived those shots. He was still alive. The perpetrators were irritated by this, so they shot him one more time, and this time they killed him. They shot him behind his head, execution style. But the 2 perpetrators were not done yet. They poured gas fluid on to Jack's body and set him on fire. For the next 2 days, Liz will be held captive in that house, alone, afraid. Her 5 perpetrators would take turns on beating her, raping her, sodomize her. They also, at some point, sat her down, tied her to a chair, and forced her performing oral sex on them. One heartbreaking detail that I read about this case, this whole case is heartbreaking, but one thing that I was just, oh my God, is that Liz was actually a virgin. She didn't want to lose her virginity to anyone. She actually wanted to save herself for the right one, the man that she would eventually marry. After Liz and Jack failed to show up at the birthday party, both of their friends start to get worried and start calling them, and their phones went straight to voicemail. So a few of the friends returned to the apartment of the best friend, Liz's best friend, that she was supposedly getting ready at. When they came to the apartment was empty. They walked around, they couldn't find anything. They went downstairs and they saw Chris's car, but they couldn't locate Liz's car. And that's when they called Liz's mom and told her that we cannot find, or we don't know where Liz is. The next day, both parents of Liz and Jack went to the police and reported them missing. But since they're considered adults, they are 21 and 23, police cannot do nothing until 24 hours. So the parents were sent back home to wait by the phone, and maybe, hopefully, Liz and Jack would show up. But they never did. And the parents took matters into their own hands and then started doing their own search. Liz's parents contacted her phone company to see if the phone company could locate the phone signal and that way maybe tell where Liz is or been at. And they did. So the phone company told Liz's parents, that they pinged a signal at this area. This area was a known crime-infested area, very bad neighborhood. You don't go there unless you live there. A couple of Liz's friends and her family arrived to the location that her phone was last pinged at. They couldn't find Liz, but they found her car, and they immediately noticed that something was wrong because Liz was very particular with her vehicle. She always liked to keep it clean, smell nice, and she kept a bunch of photos of her friends, her family inside of the vehicle. And the vehicle was dirty, it was muddy, mud on the floor, the car seats were pushed way back, and all of the pictures that Liz usually keeps in her car of her loved ones and family were gone, as well as her phone charger. This immediately raised red flags for the family, and the worry and panic set in. But unfortunately, the saddest part that the family that was searching for Liz did not know that Liz was just 2 blocks away from her car. She was literally just 2 houses away. If they knew, they may have saved her, but they didn't. You see, the previous night on January the 7th, the perpetrator took bleach. They poured it down Liz's throat and her genitals to remove any possible DNA or fingerprint or anything that could connect her to them. After that, they tied her hands behind her back. They put a plastic bag around her head and tied it very tight. Then they put her body inside of 5 large bin bags, and they threw her out in the garbage bin. Unfortunately, Liz didn't die right away. She slowly suffocated. On Monday, January 8th, Jack's parents receive a call from the local police saying that they found a body. And one of the detectives actually knew Jack, and he knew his family. So he made the call to Jack's father, and he said that he might have found Jack. And his dad asked, "How do you know it's Jack?" He said, "Because I recognize him by his eyes." The same day, Liz's car was pounded by the police and fingerprinted, and they found a match. They found a fingerprint match that could locate them to the house where Liz spent her final moments. When the police entered that house, it was all messed up. It was dirty. It looked like it was just a crack house. It was disgusting. And right there in the trash bag, they found Liz's lifeless body. She passed away with her eyes open. After about a week manhunt for the perpetrators, they caught all 5, and a long, long trial process began. They basically trialed each perpetrator individually, so the parents of Liz and Jack had to sit through each trial and listen to the horrifying details of what these people did to their loving kids. Eventually, all 5 perpetrators were sentenced to life. I believe the main ringleader actually got even death penalty. One of the perpetrators was a woman, and she received 35 years in prison. And that, my friends, is the tragic story of Liz and Jack, a young couple that was so much in love and had so many dreams and looked forward to the future. All of that was just cut short by some disgusting, despicable humans. I also want to mention something real quick that I actually have heard twice. I saw it one time on Oprah, and another, I think I came across it on YouTube another time. But I know it's easier said than done. I know we're sitting here in our cozy environment, our bedroom, our house, our apartment, we're feeling safe. But if, God forbid, you are in a situation where you are by yourself or with someone and you guys being attacked, or someone try to drag you to their car or to somewhere else, Never, ever let them take you to the second location. You have more chance of survival if you are making a fuss, start screaming, start beating, fighting for your life at the first spot than if they take you to the second location. The second location, you never know where it's at. You never know how far from civilization you are, and you have less chance of survival on the second location. So whatever you do, again, don't let them take you to the second location. With all of that being said, my loves, I hope you guys enjoyed today's story. I warned you, it was a gruesome one. It was a horrible one. I hope I didn't scare you guys too much. And I hope I see you in the next episode, in episode 3. And if you haven't subscribed, do so now, because you don't want to miss the future stories that I will post on my channel. If you are curious to see me on my other social platforms as an Instagram or TikTok, click the link below in the subscription box. Again, stay safe, stay happy, love yourself, practice self-love, and I see you guys next Friday. Ciao, cacao.